I want to tell an absurd story in a rap album, and I want people to feel the questions it might be trying to ask, but I don't want to say all the answers.
This is a deeper listen from listener-powered KEXP. It's the show where we talk with musicians about the thoughts and the experiences that shape their music. I'm Roddy Nikapour. Last month, the rapper Open Mike Eagle dropped his 10th studio album, Neighborhood Gods Unlimited.
I had a dream about it, baby. It was talking like a grown-up. It knew all about the universe and it told me what to do. It was crawling on the ceiling, it was floating in the window, and it said it had a message and its skin was kind of blue.
For an independent artist, Open Mike Eagle has built a huge legacy. He started in the late 2000s rapping in the trio Thirsty Fish.
These sucker ducks bottle up, but I'm a thirsty fish. I let my fill your bottle up.
And he made a bigger name for himself as a solo artist, starting with his 2010 debut, Unapologetic Art Rap.
If there's an actual opening in your space-time, erase my voicemail messages from your dateline. I take mine under a false pretense, a temporary lapse in cunning and lost street sense.
He's even appeared in the cartoon Adventure Time as a rapping gingerbread cookie.
You're a small bear with fuzzy hair over there. Get away from me, I don't want to share my air. Doesn't matter where, anywhere, everywhere with you. Chop you in two with my rap kung fu.
And he started multiple multimedia endeavors like the artist collective Hellfyre Club and an alt comedy TV series called The New Negroes, both of which have since ended. But these days, he's running his own podcast network called Stony Island Audio.
Yo, what up? This is Open Mike Eagle. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a podcast to listen to.
KEXP's Martin Douglas spoke with Open Mike Eagle about the years leading up to his newest album, which included a divorce and various collaborations with other rappers.
Usually, you know, sometimes I get a little real big. Sometimes I get a little real big. Sometimes I get a little, sometimes I get a little. Usually, you know, most times, you know.
In the 15-year journey since his debut solo album, Open Mike Eagle has encountered numerous ups and downs, both in his career and his personal life. His 10th studio LP, Neighborhood Gods Unlimited, arrived in July 2025 to widespread applause from critics and fans alike. The album combines Eagle's penchant for the surreal with increasingly personal writing, an artistic practice he dove headfirst into years ago.
1, 2.
And it got ran over. Didn't even see it, now it's in a bunch of pieces. I dropped my cell phone and it got ran over. Super flat case with a smashed up face. Priceless data written on my machine. Lost words may affect all my esteem.
These days, Mike Eagle is making a pretty decent living as an underground rap legend. Backstage at his recent Seattle gig, we talked about the long road he traveled from anime, trauma, and divorce to his critically acclaimed new LP, Neighborhood Gods Unlimited, and all stops in between. But first, since I knew I was talking to the first artist to coin the term art rap to describe his music, I was compelled to address the countless people who have asked him to define what art rap actually is.
The original mission for trying to embrace that term still stands. Like, there should be a designation in the marketplace for people who approach the medium of rap in a specific way, in all the specific ways, right? It, like, rap is 50 years old. It should be able to differentiate in the marketplace. And so the embracing of art rap was another, I mean, it was my attempt at trying to capitalize on this movement I saw growing that I thought included myself. At the time, Danny Brown, Serengeti, Shabazz Palaces, like that's all the shit that was going on in the early 2010s.
Now my girlfriend named me B-More was Treva, and her door knockers was bamboos, believe that.
And I was like, this is a different thing. Like, how do we categorize this? And that was, you know, the origin of me wanting to embrace that term. I think the term became somewhat useless as mainstream rap became more artsy over the years. But I do think that designation is still important. I mean, right now, indie feels good because I do think the economics of it is very important to the designation. It's like people devoting their lives to making rap music whether or not the result of that is even a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a niche, like, and it's, you know, the only reason art rap still even somewhat rings true to me is because it feels similar to art rock, but it also feels similar to indie rock. Like, it's just the people who are at the edges of the sound trying to push it to a different place, or like trying to make it more personal, or trying to make it more intimate, or trying to put different perspectives and experiences in it that aren't what one would expect if all they know is what's happening on the most popular sphere, you know? So I guess I'm not done describing it or talking about it, because I don't think we've arrived at what to call it yet. I'm always looking to see what other people will come with. Matter of fact, I made a statement on the new album speaking to that. Like, I tried naming it. It's y'all's turn. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where that came from.
Like that, people. It's like when Professor X wiped Magneto. I'm like Bandito. Sometimes I flip, then I find Tranquilo.
5 years ago, you put out an album called Anime, Trauma, and Divorce.
I lift my feet up. I lift my feet up. I lift my feet up. I tripped. Took a bad fall, bad fall.
Could you tell me about the transitional period that led to that?
Totally, yeah. I put that album out in 2020, and I went through a divorce in 2019, 2020. I mean, honestly, still going through it. Like, it's just not a thing that zips up very quickly. Like, there's always lingering feelings to process associated with that. But when I started making that album, I was already dealing with feeling like I was in a dark period because of, like, this is on the edge of, like, Hellfyre Club sort of falling apart. It's on the edge of, we had made New Negroes. You know, I really thought that television show was going to change my life. I genuinely thought that.
This is the New Negroes. Are you excited?
I feel like when I tell people I've been camping for the first time, they're like, but you're a full adult. But I'm Black.
There was a lot of negativity around making it from the corporate side, and the way that it got canceled even was very hurtful. I felt like we were sort of strung along. This is just to explain to you where my spirit was at that time, right? That show was coming out, and the house I lived in at the time, if I opened my bedroom window and looked out that window, I could see a billboard with my picture on it. Like, that's how crazy things felt. Like, what? I'm about to do some shit out here.
Saw a billboard of myself from my bedroom right above the chicken joint. Gladwell would have bet that this was the tipping point. I felt what the kids call goated. I took selfies under it in hope somebody noticed, but ain't nobody watching. Friday night ratings still low, says the stock tips household. Who only fans know about me? I wanna leave the game behind like Scott Rogowski.
All that to say, I was dealing with all of that while I was making that album. And that's also when I dug very deep into anime, jumped 2 feet into that pool, and found a lot of media that helped me through. Just, you know, the way that a lot of anime tends to be able to have characters that have to deal with dark shit, you know, and they don't always handle it the best ways. And I don't know, there feels like more of a spectrum of emotions that a character can feel in a story. Like, where and a lot of Western stuff is very the guy always wins. You know what I'm saying? The main guy always wins. Like, there doesn't seem to be much setbacks where, the first episode of a lot of anime is just somebody who's living a normal life and suddenly everything is fucked the fuck up.
So, you're asking me to take this thing and go out there and fight?
Correct.
How can you do this to me? I thought you didn't want me. Why? Why did you have to call me now, Father?
Because I have a use for you.
And then the whole rest of the show is them figuring out how to deal with it. And that's, I don't know, it really resonated with me at that time of my life.
It ain't a secret, I overthink it, I overanalyze and tweak it, cause that's my weakness. Not every day, but pretty frequent. I did it recent, I spent a good chunk of the weekend under the deep end, was searching for another reason.
That was the first time I ever used music to actually helped me process things. And it was my therapist who reminded me, like, hey, you have a creative outlet. There's many people who are in your position who would kill to have like that sort of artistic medium to process difficult things. It did make for what I felt like was a difficult album release in terms of my ability to not internalize feedback or negativity. Like, I felt uniquely vulnerable in that output because it felt like more of myself was out there in this work than in my previous work.
So you're not a don't read the reviews guy?
Typically, I do not read the comments. I do not read the reviews. But in that instance, that's what I'm saying. Like, the emotional attachment to it was so different that it was difficult not to internalize everything everybody said and wanted to know everything everybody said. And, you know, so it helped me process the feelings, yes. But it also put my psyche in a sort of odd position after the fact. And that was, I had to sort of contend with that after the album was out.
It's like getting a massage at a real place, not in a garage. Yeah. It's eating health food and making smoothies out of kelp cubes. You know what I mean? That shit sound nasty, but I'm doing that shit in 2020. You know what I mean? What the hell is self-care? Yeah, I think I know what you suggesting. It just sounds depressing.
Anime Trauma and Divorce dropped 8 months into the pandemic lockdown period. How were you coping with the world being shut down?
I moved out of my house with my ex-wife. It was February 1st, 2020. So I have left my home. I moved into a little weird bachelor apartment. I'll never forget that day because it was a Super Bowl. And I actually wasn't, like, philosophically, I wasn't even watching football then. I didn't even have anything to sit on, but I had my television hooked up because I was just unpacking shit. And I was like, my politics right now. Watch the Super Bowl. But so I'm already in that, and I go on tour days after that. Come back, I'm still unpacking my place, still dealing with, like, you know, I have a son, and he was having to get used to dad and mom staying in different places, and he was like, you know, a youngish kid then. And then in the middle of all of that, it's like this mysterious virus that we keep hearing about, and then suddenly we find out the second leg of the tour is getting canceled. Like, it's real serious. Like, holy shit, my financial future in the short term was based off of that. And it was a rough time, but we figured it out. A big part of that for me was starting to regularly link with Video Dave and Still Rift. And we started getting together every week with the intention of making music. That turned into a bunch of songs that were on my solo albums and our various me and Dave's various solo projects since then, and it turned into the group Previous Industries. And we've put out an album and an EP of stuff that we started making during that time.
They caught me off guard without a beginning, see, plan to land. Free, and you can see it on C-SPAN. I branded to battle half naked. I'm a heat man. I made a few regrettable decisions for $3,000. I seen it.
That was certainly a big factor in helping me get through it, and you know, and also Patreon and live streaming on Instagram and Twitch, and you know, started to make different types of content too.
So the first album that you put out during this whole pandemic period was Component System with the Auto Reverse.
The year didn't happen. Everybody, yeah, talking like the year didn't happen. I feel like I should hear it in the rapping since we all had unkempt beards and weird interactions.
Did that change the trajectory for you in any way? Do you feel like it did?
There was a thing happening and still happening in the indie rap sphere at the time that I really was intentional in that project about wanting to get down with. Because I felt like, oh, motherfuckers out here rapping. Like the Arm & Hammer, Woods, Elucid, you know what I'm saying? All of the Backwoods folks, Cav, like, and even how that was dovetailing with like Griselda type shit. There was just this real rap thing happening. And I was like, I rap. I came into this rapping. I rapped on street corners. Like, that's how I started doing any of this. So I was very inspired to push the levers more towards that. And I feel like Component System with the Auto Reverse and Another Triumph of Ghetto Engineering was me really exploring that, wearing that hat. Like, I feel like I developed some new styles for myself in that time.
When I die, mix up my ashes into some coffee grounds.
I think I can say now that, like, as much as I love those songs, some of them are not like the most, probably not going to be the most impactful songwriting I've done. But I also really like their music. I really started linking up with Child Actor during that time. He's been such an important part of my work.
I take a sip, I think I really like it. I take a sip, but maybe really hate it. We are the triumphant or humiliated. My students love me because I'm really patient.
Do I feel like it moved the needle? Yeah. And I feel like it moved my career in a direction sort of creatively. Yeah, Component System, Another Triumph of Ghetto Engineering, and to some degree even Previous Industries. Those are all of a particular time where I want to rap, you know?
That's honestly kind of my favorite lane of yours as an artist. Would you say that Another Triumph of Ghetto Engineering was a love letter to underground rap? Because I've read a lot of reviews alluding to that idea. Also, there's that track, Dave Said These Are the Liner Notes, which shouts out a bunch of figures in the underground. Some of them are mutual acquaintances of ours.
The whole Philly flavor, the whole backwood, Pigeon John, Lateri, Galapagos 4, Tommy Black, Quasar.
I mean, yeah, I think that was the peak of me being inspired by what was going on at the scene at that time. And I think specifically, like, I wanted to draw the map. Like, last year, I went to the Alchemist and Friends show in LA at the Novo. It's a huge room. It's probably 3,000 people in this room. And Woods had a set. There was a point on stage. It's Woods, Elucid, Cavalier, Quelle Chris, Pink Sifu, and DJ Haram. And bro, I could have cried. It was so fucking beautiful. The songs that we're referencing right now, which are Dave Said These Are the Liner Notes, and We Should Have Made Other Ground, I think these things have already been out into the world. But it was like that feeling like, yo, like, these are my brothers and my sister up here. Like, I know these people. Like, I've seen them develop. We all used to do this in the smallest rooms in the weirdest parts of various cities. Like, it's so dope to see motherfuckers get down with it. Just so many legendary heads being, like, celebrated and making legendary music. It's just super ill to see.
We hung with Kimya in Olympia. When I did the wrestling, doctors found an arrhythmia. Me and Ram both met Samus Rapid in Ithaca. Been doing shows with Quelle since it was Christopher. Yeah, I wore a hat like a sailor boy. It sounds said my eyes got bigger than Anya Taylor-Joy's. With Woods and Dove, we chillin' on a Brooklyn night. I met Dave in college cause people said that we looked alike.
Speaking of Dave, Dave, Still Rift, you mentioned Previous Industries. You put out a great album last year, one of my favorite albums of the year, Service Merchandise.
1, 2. 1, 2. I did a spell for protection. Getty gave me direction. Said try the door from the west end.
How did the concept of Service Merchandise come about?
There was an era that we all lived through that we just wanted to, like, figure out how to invoke. And at the time, I actually had some Service Merchandise catalogs. I still have, I mean, it's the same ones. I got like 4 or 5 of them, and I got Sears catalogs from back then. And these weren't all ones I actually had, but it was like stuff I found on eBay. Like I was making a lot of weird money during one part of the pandemic. Like, after that whole tour thing figured itself out, I was like doing weed ambassadorships, and, you know, I was just making a little weird money, and I was buying shit. Like, that's where the Component System came from. Like, we all sort of keyed into like that style of consumerism, catalog shopping, and we like those references. We like that time. Like that time meant something to all three of us, all being from Chicago and men of a certain age.
I once was a young fella. Today I had to help my pops with his umbrella. He wouldn't even ask for help either. I thought he'd age like Joe Weider. My waters rise like a high fever. Puffed up my mind like a 9-ether. Messed my shoes up. Years flew by with smooth sides like a crew cut. I get too high. I'm in junior high on the school bus. The kids too shy.
Now, moving on to your latest.
Love it so deeply. We huddle together, put me on repeat. It keeps me running forever. It keeps me running forever. Running forever, put me on repeat. It keeps me running forever. All my homies full of raw feelings. 50 weeks, no off season. We singing all evening.
Can you tell me about the concept that led to your new album, Neighborhood Gods Unlimited?
It's a very convoluted concept. That's the whole thing, though. If I'm gonna take 10 minutes just describing. It's an album with a narrative. It's an album with a story. It's an album with themes. The center of the story is me and some trauma I've dealt with. And I was somewhat inspired by, movies like Sorry to Bother You. I'm so stuck on Boots right now.
Hey, Cash, how much longer I gotta wait for my money?
God made this land for all of us. Greedy people like you want to hog it to yourself and your family.
Me and my family?
Yeah.
Cassius, I'm your f***ing uncle.
I'm a Virgo was big. All the Jordan Peele stuff. All this like surrealist black cinema, television, Atlanta, like the surrealism to me is so important. Even a movie like what's the movie with Demi Moore that came out last year? The Substance.
Yeah.
Like the surreal nature, the absurdity of that movie. And I put that in the category with those two. It's like these pieces of art have to be absurd because the questions that they are dealing with are absurd questions. You know what I'm saying? Like the pressures women face in the entertainment industry are absurd questions. And if you're making art that deals with it, you have to answer it in absurd ways. Like, so the absurdity of I'm a Virgo or the absurdity of Get Out or Nope, there aren't easy ways to address these things that cinch up in 2 hours. And it's even that, it's like it all creates the space to answer it in a surreal way. So I wanted to make rap music that felt like that. I watch a lot of David Lynch, like even shit like Severance. It's so good. It's just a show about people in a situation, but the situation is insane and they don't tell you everything about it.
What you all did was one of the most painful moments in the history of this company.
What the hell?
But the four of you have become known as the face of severance reform.
Okay, so we're not in trouble?
I don't think so. Milchick said we're famous.
All of us equally, or one of us is like the star?
I feel or I felt challenged and inspired by these pieces of media to like I want to tell an absurd story in a rap album. And I want people to feel the depths, the places where it might be trying to go emotionally and the questions it might be trying to ask and answer. But I don't want to say all the answers.
1, 2. These is letters to editors. They point at the obvious, the articles out loud. Scan it, deposit their all-time habits at once. I love all my habits and stunts. I took lumps, not lessons. Accepted every stupid condition. I don't know what to do with the prison superposition. Getting lost in assorted flavors or getting traded like a Gordon Hayward. The streets named for important slavers.
So I love the dark comedy television drops because they're a callback to your 2014 album, Dark Comedy.
Dark comedy television.
I think most of my favorite rappers engage in that sort of self-reference where their discography is a world unto themselves.
I don't know if that was my explicit intention, but when you say that, I'm like, oh, that is... I could see that subliminally I could be influenced by like, you know, Prince Paul and De La, like that sort of subtle world building that they would do in referencing. Doom would do a lot of that. Wu-Tang, there's a lot of that.
Reunited, double LP, world excited. Struck a match to the underground. Industry ignited from metaphorical parables to fertilize the earth.
I don't know if that was explicitly my intention, but like the dark comedy television thing is a real thing. Like dark comedy, if you look at any of the music videos for the Brick Body Kids Still Daydream album, all of them start off with a graphic that says dark comedy television. Like that was an idea I've been playing with since then. And it has been developed over the years into this idea that I've, you know, talked to some networks about trying to do that, but I've never like gotten into the position to really like make it happen. But it's a television show that's a vehicle for launching different stories. And one of the stories I wanted to be this absurd trauma story. And that's where we got to Neighborhood Gods Unlimited.
Woke up knowing everything. Now woke up knowing everything. God's Unlimited. Yeah. Woke up knowing everything. I woke up like looking for a larger plot. Waiting fate in the barbershop. Cause if your voice ain't as loud as his, maybe he knows where the power is. Maybe he knows why the rent is high. It's cause the moon is in Gemini and Mercury's in the Gatorade.
I strongly believe that we've graduated from the information age to the misinformation age. How do you reconcile quote unquote fake news with actual fake news?
I can't reconcile anything that we deal with in this life. There's no reconciliation. That's not part of what happens. We all get bombarded with things that make us feel a variety of different ways, and we're all just expected to fucking deal with that in whatever way. And a lot of people don't deal with it well.
Let me rephrase the question. How do you process this sort of misinformation age?
I want to fight it. I feel like the answer is creating a more educated citizen, right? But I also understand why that won't happen anytime soon, given, I mean, not only given the current administration, but also like capitalism does not want us to be smart. I don't know. There's some countries where I feel like that needle has moved a little bit more towards smart. I feel like ours is set to super dumb. And I feel like that's what we got to deal with all the time is it's just easy to not think. It's easy to not be thoughtful. It's easy to just go with your feelings. It's easy to be manipulated in our current. Yeah, like you said, I think you're right. This is the misinformation age. And you know, given what AI is poised to be able to do in terms of creating not real shit that looks and feels real, like it's about to get way worse. So honestly, I don't know how to deal with it. I talk to my son about it a lot. Like, you know, we're sort of putting our heads together in terms of things to look out for, and trying to increase everyone's discernment. Discernment seems to be the most important tool right now. But it's ultimately it needs to be baked into our educational system, and it is not.
Yesterday, he was dumb as rocks. Yesterday, what the fuck?
Do it.
Tell me about the single My Coworker Clark Kent's Secret Black Box.
Flew past again. I got this one coworker, Clark Kent. He working on his first assignment, and he exited with perfect timing. Whenever aliens assault the island, can't nobody in the office find him. Like it's all just happenstances that whenever he go back to Kansas and these aliens attack Manhattan, and the person that defends the island, it's him without the hat and glasses.
Does writing a song like that start from a writing exercise? Does it start from getting stoned and thinking, how come nobody in Clark Kent's office actually questions his whereabouts when some shit goes down?
It really starts, like the writing of it starts from where the second verse is. 'Cause I've always thought about this in terms of myself and other people who I know who had like creative or even just financial interests outside of their workplace. And my reflection of it was I would be working in these nonprofits in LA or sometimes working schools. And I was doing rap shows at night. And if you became MySpace or Facebook friends with me, you would see me promote these things, even if you were my coworker. And the manner in which that was treated by a lot of people in the workplace, I was like, oh, these people hate that I have something else going on. Like, if you have immediate supervisors, they just can't fucking stand that you could care about something more than this job. I had always equated that to Clark Kent. Like, Clark Kent's coworkers must fucking hate him because he's always leaving. Like, he's always fucking leaving. You know, and he's just got a bunch of other shit going on, obviously. And I would imagine some people in the office are wise and wait a minute, this can't be merely coincidence every time. Like, and he looks just like him. So I've always equated those two things, like my entire adult life. The second verse in the song is reflective of experiences I've had where I could tell motherfuckers didn't like that I was writing raps or in any way thinking about rap shows on work time. And I think in some cases it was because they had dreams too that they had given up on and they were a little pissed off.
I used to take mad photographs. I played guitar in a metal band. I still got a pair of leather pants. I grew up and left Neverland. I sing Pearl Jam's Better Man. That's my karaoke go-to, cause I do what I'm supposed to. You probably parent like Goku. You fighting battles in a minivan. Your own kids don't know you.
How much does self-doubt play into your creative process or how you approach your artistic career?
That's a loaded question full of grenades. That's an explosive question.
It's a personal question for me because there's a lot of your stuff that I personally relate to, but the self-doubt is pretty high on that list.
So I'm talking to another self-doubter. We find ways to fight through that, to put things out journalistically, musically. I operate in a very self-aware niche. Like, we know it ain't many of us doing this. I have had times in my creative journey where I know I've gone too far into stuff that only I like, you know? And I have to keep in mind that there's commerce associated with this too. Like, I don't have to think like a hit maker, but I do have to be aware of what people like to some degree.
That's interesting. And another thing that I identify with personally, especially because I'm always trying to do something different as a music journalist. Like, I want it to be a challenging read for my readers. And, you know, sometimes as a music journalist, you get the note that you're being self-indulgent.
Self-doubt based on commercial viability or relatability to people outside of yourself is just always part of the process. Like, I can say that my behaviors around that are like, I make a song and I play it for myself 10,000 times. That's an exaggeration, but it feels like that before I even let the producer hear it. You know, like, I have to be very sure that this idea is like worth investing in.
I still like Simon Petrikov, cause like him, my mind is sectioned off. It's a one-size-fits philosophy for each of the splintered parts of me. Chest is wrinkled up, flesh is crinkle cut. Secret questions, yes, messing people up. Safe houses filled with captured flags. Chop my old self up to acid jazz. Know what I haven't had. Bought myself back in plastic bags.
Part of that is from a place of like trying to make sure I'm not making mistakes. I heard something a long time ago where it's like, your style is the mistakes you choose to make, basically. Like I said, and like you've echoed, there's a space to be too self-indulgent, you know, and make something that's like, oh, this isn't for other people. This is just for me. And that's not always the thing that you should make for sale, you know, like in my case, I am, you know, part of the proposition of me putting out a release is expecting some amount of people to pay money for it. So, you know, I definitely try to make sure I do my due diligence and try to put out the best product I can. And I think at every step of that process, I have to deal with self-doubt.
I'm on the scene, wide leg, Michael Jordan, Generation XG. I yell, holy ho, I'm too clean. Wide leg, Michael Jordan, Generation XG. Cause I'm 45, I'm 19. Wide leg, Michael Jordan, Generation XG.
Talk to me about wide leg Michael Jordan, Generation X jeans, and the idea of generational fashion cycles.
Generational fashion cycles? What does that mean?
I mean, you say it yourself. Am I 45 or 19?
Gosh, man. I was on a flight one day and I maybe eating an edible. I don't remember. But this idea of just like Michael Jordan's, like the jeans he wears, especially like the ones he wears now, and how I know the exact age of everybody who will wear those, and the fact that they kind of coming back in style right now a little bit. It just tickled me to no end to think of that. And in my mind, it's a Gap commercial, and I'm an early 2000s rapper with a full denim suit, like, you know, like there's an NBA commercial. There's a commercial with NBA people in it. It's got Carmelo Anthony, I think Kendrick Perkins in it. They're like picking out suits for the draft. It's very good. And I wrote this song before that, but it goes right with that.
Yeah, shout out to 4XL denim jackets.
Daffy Duck on my shirt, he wearing big jeans too. Patent leather on my feet, cause it ain't shit sweet, my shit's large. You know I got the core size seat, so make way. My pants got the big ass legs.
On a purely artistic level, has being in therapy changed the output of Open Mike Eagle?
Yeah, that's true. Being in therapy has certainly changed my output. It has made it to where my output used to be so societal. I used to point my little finger at everybody else and their wrongdoings. But I've been so much more interested lately in the things I find out about myself and the things I find out about the world or how I see the world through like internal investigation, you know? So if anything, going through therapy has made my work far more personal than it was before.
I sing every solitary voice. I don't know how to turn off all the noise. I don't know how to turn off all the noise. All the people got something to say. Even me, I've got something to say.
Neighborhood Gods Unlimited closes with Unlimited Skull Voices, which touches on a subject, again, I think about a lot personally. How do you drown out other people's voices long enough to make art?
I'm going to make the art anyway. I think what I'm sort of embracing in that song is the idea that those voices are going to be part of that art. Like there is no turning it down, really. I think my real, like the practical place for me to land is just being able to be very clear-eyed about where those particular values or thoughts came from. And sometimes it is external. And I want to make art that is able to contend with all of that. And I think previously I've just tried to ignore that. But that song was really about sort of calling it out, acknowledging it, confronting it. But then in the story of the album, it's also that's the bad ending.
Really should have finished school. Maybe should have played it cool. How you always on a tour? How you so self-sure? This rap is not pure. Man, who is this for? This culture's at war, and you gotta pick a side. Either hyper sick and tired. On the side, keep a score.
Usually for this podcast, we have the interviewee pick a song, whatever song comes to their mind, something that means, you know, something to them. If you had to pick one song by any artist right now that really speaks to you, what song would you pick and why?
There's a Future Island song called 10 Man, and it's an older song of theirs, and I didn't know it until earlier this year when I toured with them. And then they would do this song every night and it would f*** me up. of my therapy journey is being able to process my feelings. So in that way, to some degree, it feels like the Tin Man thing. The Tin Man's looking for his heart. So that song in particular just resonates with me really hard.
Thanks to Martin Douglas for sitting down with Open Mike Eagle. By the way, this podcast episode came out right before Open Mike Eagle began his East Coast tour dates. So anyone on the East Coast right now, check out those tour dates, learn more about Open Mike Eagle's podcast, everything else he's doing at mikeeagle.net. And that was A Deeper Listen. Don't be a Tin Man yourself. Find the heart to leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. And even more than that, tell a friend in real life about this podcast. Those word of mouth recommendations go way farther than you think. And also want to take a cue from Open Mike Eagle himself, because we don't make this show to be self-indulgent. In fact, we only make it because listeners find value in connecting with artists you love and discovering new ones along the way. Insofar as anything in this world can have commercial value, we hope that this is worth something to you. So, if you can afford it, if you're not already, we'd be grateful for you to sign up and donate to KEXP on a monthly basis. Even as little as just $6 a month will add up a lot for this station. You can learn more at kexp.org/deeper. Sending a huge thanks to everyone who's already part of this expansive community of amplifiers around the world. Thanks also to Janice Headley for web design and to Matt Ogaz for audio mastering. I am Roddy Nickpour. Also want to recognize the most important person in the mix, you. So thank you for taking a deeper listen. Take care.